Have you ever sat in your doctor's office and heard the words, "Your kidneys are getting worse," and felt that sudden chill of fear run down your spine? Most people don't realize it until it's almost too late. Kidney disease creeps in silently. No pain, no obvious symptoms, until one day the numbers on your lab report start to look terrifying. And by the time you notice the swelling in your legs, the fatigue that won't go away, or that metallic taste in your mouth, your kidneys have already lost more than half their strength. But here's the part that shocks most patients. I see many of them could have slowed, even stabilized that decline if they had changed one simple thing: the food on their plate. I'm not talking about a miracle pill or some detox drink. I'm talking about something real, something backed by science, the power of a plant-focused diet to take pressure off your kidneys and give them a fighting chance to recover. I'm Dr. Johnny, a kidney specialist who has spent years helping people pull their kidney numbers back from the edge. Today, I'm going to show you how your daily meals, yes, the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner you eat every day, can become the most powerful form of kidney therapy you've ever had. And if you stay with me until the end, I'll share the exact eating strategy that has helped my patients keep their kidneys stable for years without feeling deprived or losing joy in food. Because here's the truth: kidney disease doesn't just steal your energy, it steals your future. But the right foods can give it back one bite at a time. When I first met Mr. H, he looked exhausted, the kind of tired that seeps into your bones. His chart read, Stage 3B chronic kidney disease, caused by years of high blood pressure and diabetes. His GFR had dipped into the low 30s, and there was already protein leaking into his urine, a clear signal that his kidneys were under attack. He sat down, sighed, and said, "Doc, I just don't feel right anymore." I explained what was happening inside his body. Every meal overloaded with salt, processed meat, and sugar was making his kidneys filter harder like a worn-out coffee filter, trying to push through thick sludge. Then something unexpected happened. Mr. H disappeared. No follow-up, no calls, nothing until nearly 5 years later. I still remember the day he walked back into my clinic, looking leaner, sharper, and more alive than I'd ever seen him. His labs were almost identical to 5 years earlier. His kidney function hadn't worsened at all. When I asked what changed, he smiled and said, "Doc, I got off the hog." That phrase stuck with me. He'd stopped eating pork, but more than that, he'd stopped centering every meal around meat. Instead, he filled his plate with fruits, greens, beans, and whole grains, and the results were astounding. Stable GFR, controlled blood pressure, and normal blood sugar levels without any new medication. Science backs what Mr. H discovered by instinct. Studies from journals like the American Journal of Kidney Diseases show that patients who shift toward plant-based proteins experience less kidney hyperfiltration. That's the dangerous overworking phase that leads to scarring and permanent loss of function. Plant proteins release fewer acid-forming compounds, and that gives your kidneys a chance to rest and repair instead of constantly fighting inflammation. It's like turning down the volume on a machine that's been screaming for years. Mr. H's story isn't rare, it's just rarely told. Because the truth is, small dietary shifts can sometimes protect your kidneys better than any pill. But only if you understand why the change works and how to make it sustainable. But just knowing this isn't enough, because there's another factor even more dangerous, and most people don't even realize they're doing it every single day. Not long after Mr. H's transformation, another patient walked into my clinic, a soft-spoken woman in her early 60s. Her chart said Stage 4 chronic kidney disease. She'd grown up in the American South, where every meal had meat at its center, fried chicken ribs, sausage, and bacon. When she got her diagnosis, she told me with tears in her eyes, "Dr. Johnny, I don't want dialysis to be my future." That sentence hit me hard because I've heard it countless times. Dialysis isn't just a treatment, it's a life sentence of exhaustion for many people. Determined to fight back, she made a radical choice. She went completely plant-based. No meat, no dairy, no eggs. At first, her family thought she'd lost her mind. "How will you get your protein?" they asked. But within months, something incredible happened. Her lab results started to move in the opposite direction of what we usually see. Her GFR climbed from the mid-20s into the low 30s, and her protein levels in urine, a key marker of kidney damage, dropped dramatically. She told me she felt lighter, her blood pressure stabilized, and for the first time in years, she had energy that lasted past noon. What's fascinating is that science explains exactly why this happened. When we replace saturated fat-heavy animal proteins with plant-based sources like beans, lentils, tofu, and nuts, we reduce the production of inflammatory molecules that silently damage kidney tissues. A 2023 study in Nature Reviews Nephrology showed that people following a mostly plant-based diet lowered their risk of kidney decline by up to 30%. Fiber also plays a crucial role. It binds to toxins in the gut, keeping them from ever reaching the kidneys. Think of fiber as the body's natural cleanup crew, sweeping away waste before it clogs the filter. Her story became a turning point for many of my patients, proof that food can be more powerful than fear. But here's where most people stumble. They make a dramatic change overnight and burn out before the real results appear. That's why I always remind them and you, this isn't a sprint. It's a lifelong rhythm your body learns to trust. But just understanding this still isn't enough, because the next mistake is something millions make in the name of health, and it can quietly sabotage your kidneys even faster. Then came Sarah, a 42-year-old entrepreneur who thought she was doing everything right. She had read online that a high-protein, low-carb diet was the fastest way to burn fat and build muscle. So she cut out nearly all carbs, doubled her portions of meat, and proudly told me, "Doc, I feel strong. This is the cleanest diet ever." But within months, her energy crashed, her blood pressure spiked, and her lab tests painted a very different picture. Her GFR had fallen sharply, and her urine showed rising protein levels, the telltale sign that her kidneys were under attack. I explained that what she was feeling wasn't strength, it was strain. When we overload the body with animal protein, it floods the bloodstream with nitrogen acid and metabolic waste. The kidneys, trying to keep up, go into overdrive, a process called hyperfiltration. Imagine forcing a water filter to handle thick, oily sludge every single day. It might look fine at first, but inside, microscopic damage is building, the kind that never heals. In Sarah's case, it took only 6 months of the carnivore craze to undo years of healthy numbers. When she switched back to a Mediterranean-style plan, colorful salads, olive oil, whole grains, and just small servings of fish, her numbers stabilized again. That's not a coincidence. Multiple studies, including one from the Journal of Renal Nutrition in 2024, confirm that plant-forward diets reduce kidney stress by lowering acid load, inflammation, and excess filtration pressure. The Mediterranean pattern doesn't just feed the body, it protects the filter inside it. Sarah told me something that stuck. I realized I wasn't eating for fitness, I was eating for survival. That's when it clicked for me. Most people are unintentionally damaging their kidneys while chasing quick fixes that look healthy on the surface. And that's the silent danger. We rarely talk about health trends that turn toxic when misunderstood. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because even if you fix your diet, there's another silent threat hidden right inside the foods you think are helping you, and almost nobody talks about it. Here's where the science starts to connect the dots. Most people think kidney health is only about avoiding salt or sugar, but the real breakthrough comes when you understand how a plant-based diet actually changes the inner chemistry of your body. Think about this: every time you eat a meal high in animal protein, your kidneys have to neutralize a surge of acid produced during digestion. Over time, that acid wears them down like waves eroding a rock. But plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, beans, and whole grains do the opposite. They create an alkaline environment that helps your kidneys breathe easier and restore balance. I once treated a retired firefighter named Mark. He'd spent his career saving lives but was struggling to save his own kidneys. His blood tests showed rising acid levels, and he constantly felt fatigued. When we switched his meals to include spinach smoothies, lentil soups, and oatmeal instead of eggs and bacon, something remarkable happened. Within 2 months, his blood bicarbonate levels normalized, his acid load dropped, and his energy skyrocketed. He told me, "Doc, I didn't know food could make my body feel clean again." That word clean stuck with me, because what he was feeling was the body's chemistry recalibrating, giving his kidneys the break they'd been begging for. Research confirms this shift. A landmark study from Clinical Journal of the American Society of Nephrology found that patients who ate more plant-based meals had up to a 33% slower decline in kidney function compared to those consuming high-acid diets. The reason: less acid means less inflammation, fewer damaged nephrons, and a lower risk of developing end-stage renal disease. It's like lowering the heat under a boiling pot. You stop the overflow before it destroys the stove. And here's something few people realize. Those same alkaline foods often help manage blood pressure, lower phosphorus absorption, and even reduce the risk of bone loss. It's a ripple effect of repair that begins with what's on your fork. Mark's recovery reminded me of one essential truth: when you give your kidneys a kinder environment, they give you back time, more mornings, more energy, more life. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because even healthy foods can backfire if they're processed the wrong way. And what I'm about to reveal next will surprise almost everyone who's trying to eat clean. Here's where many people unknowingly sabotage their own progress by turning to the wrong kind of plant-based foods. You see, the food industry is clever. It knows people want to eat healthier, so it markets ultra-processed vegan options that look wholesome but quietly overload your body with sodium phosphates and additives. Things like fake meats, healthy frozen bowls, and even some plant-based snacks can trigger the same kidney stress as red meat if they're packed with salt and preservatives. The label may say plant-based, but your kidneys can't read marketing. They only feel chemistry. I remember a young nurse named Kelly who came to me frustrated. She'd switched completely to vegan meals after watching a documentary, yet her creatinine was climbing and her ankles were starting to swell. When we looked closer, her diet was full of prepackaged meat substitutes and salty sauces, each one pushing her sodium intake past 3,000 milligrams a day. Once she started cooking fresh foods instead, simple lentil stews, quinoa salads, grilled veggies, her numbers began to settle. Within 3 months, her blood pressure dropped 15 points, her swelling disappeared, and her GFR finally held steady. She told me I thought I was eating right, but I was really eating marketing. And the science proves her experience isn't rare. Research published in the Journal of Renal Nutrition in 2024 found that patients who ate fewer ultra-processed foods had a 40% lower risk of kidney decline, even when total protein intake was similar. That's because whole foods contain natural potassium fiber and antioxidants that help your kidneys flush out acid-forming toxins, while processed foods flood your bloodstream with phosphorus and sodium that silently scar the nephrons. So if you're serious about protecting your kidneys, it's not just what you eat, but how real your food is. Every time you choose an apple over a bag of vegan chips, you're giving your kidneys oxygen instead of overload. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because there's one final piece, the kind that determines whether your kidneys simply survive or actually heal, and that's what we're uncovering next. Now let's talk about the part everyone underestimates: balance. Even the healthiest foods can backfire when eaten the wrong way, in the wrong portions, or without understanding your body's stage of kidney disease. I once treated a retired teacher named Linda, who proudly told me she was following a strict plant-based plan. Her fridge was full of fruits, vegetables, beans, and smoothies. But there was one problem: she was overdoing it. She was eating massive servings of high-potassium foods like bananas, avocados, and orange juice every single day. Within weeks, her potassium levels spiked, and she began feeling muscle weakness and irregular heartbeats. She looked at me in disbelief and said, "But doctor, I thought potassium was healthy." Here's the truth: it is healthy, but only when balanced. The kidneys play a key role in filtering out excess potassium. When they're already compromised, too much of a good thing can quickly turn dangerous. Studies published in the American Journal of Kidney Diseases reveal that while plant-based potassium is less absorbed than animal-based forms, it can still build up if intake exceeds the body's ability to eliminate it. That's why smart combinations matter more than strict restrictions. Pairing high-potassium foods with fiber-rich grains and leafy vegetables helps the body excrete the excess naturally. So the secret isn't cutting out fruits and vegetables, it's learning how to rotate and balance them. I often tell my patients, let your kidneys dance to a rhythm, not a routine. One day enjoy apples and blueberries. The next try cauliflower and green beans. The goal is consistency, not perfection. That steady pattern of variety helps your kidneys rest, recover, and realign. What surprised Linda most was how small changes, switching her orange juice for lemon water, adding flaxseed to her oatmeal, or swapping avocado toast for chickpea salad, transformed her blood work within a month. Her potassium normalized, her GFR stabilized, and she felt lighter both physically and mentally. And this is where most people finally understand: protecting your kidneys isn't about punishment, it's about partnership. Your body responds to the kindness you feed it. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because the real transformation doesn't come from knowing what to eat. It comes from knowing how to live so your kidneys can thrive. And that's exactly where we're heading next. The final layer of healing goes beyond the plate. It's about how you live around your food. Because even the cleanest diet won't save your kidneys if your lifestyle is still suffocating them. I remember a patient named Robert, a 58-year-old accountant, who had adopted everything I recommended: whole foods, less meat, no processed snacks. Yet his kidney function was still slowly declining. When I looked deeper, the problem wasn't his meals, it was his routine. He worked long hours sitting down, barely slept 5 hours a night, and constantly lived under stress. His body was eating right, but his mind was stuck in survival mode. Here's what most people forget: stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline constrict blood vessels, including those that feed your kidneys. Over time, that narrow flow means less oxygen and more strain. Studies from the National Kidney Foundation show that chronic stress and poor sleep can accelerate kidney decline by as much as 25%, even when diet remains stable. In simple terms, you can't out-eat a life that's constantly in panic mode. So with Robert, we built what I now call the kidney rhythm reset. He started walking 20 minutes a day, shutting down his laptop by 9 p.m., and practicing 3 minutes of deep breathing before bed. Within 8 weeks, his blood pressure normalized, his inflammation markers dropped, and his GFR finally held steady. He told me, "Doc, I realized I wasn't sick from food, I was sick from pressure." That line stayed with me. Because real healing isn't just nutritional, it's emotional, biological, and rhythmic. Science backs it up. Regular movement increases renal blood flow, meditation reduces stress-induced kidney strain, and quality sleep activates the body's natural repair hormones. Combine those with a plant-focused diet, and you're not just maintaining kidney function, you're creating conditions for renewal. So when people ask me, "Dr. Johnny, what's the most powerful thing I can do for my kidneys?" I tell them this: feed them plants, free them from pressure, and fuel them with calm. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because the biggest transformation happens when you connect all these pieces, and what I'll share next might change the way you see your entire future with your kidneys. Now we arrive at the most powerful part of all connection, because food alone can heal the body, but belief heals the person. Every single patient I've seen who truly turned their kidney health around had one thing in common: they stopped seeing this as a disease and started seeing it as a message. A message from their body saying, "Slow down, listen, change the way you live." One of my favorite stories is from a woman named Teresa, who once told me, "Dr. Johnny, I stopped fighting my kidneys. I started working with them." She had stage 3 kidney disease and had been terrified of dialysis. But instead of drowning in fear, she built small rituals of consistency: morning lemon water, evening walks, Sunday meal prep. She treated her kidneys like a teammate, not an enemy. And the results spoke volumes. Her blood pressure normalized, her swelling vanished, and her GFR held steady for over 3 years. When she came for her checkup, she smiled and said, "My labs didn't just improve, my life did." That's the invisible force science can't always measure: the synergy between mindset and biology. Studies from Harvard Health and the American Society of Nephrology reveal that people who engage actively in their own care, tracking meals, practicing gratitude, reducing anxiety, show up to 35% slower decline in kidney function compared to those who remain passive. The reason is simple: your hormones, immune system, and nervous system all sync with your sense of hope. The calmer you feel, the more efficiently your organs function. So while nutrition builds the foundation, mindset and consistency are the roof that protects everything underneath. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. When you decide to show up for your kidneys every day, even in small ways, your body starts to trust you again, and that trust becomes healing. Teresa's story reminds us that every healthy choice, each bite of greens, every glass of water, every walk under the sun, is not just a treatment, but a vote of confidence in your own future. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because what comes next isn't just about food or habits. It's about the one shift that decides whether your kidneys simply survive or truly thrive. Stay with me. This next part could change how you see healing forever. Everything we've talked about so far, diet, balanced movement, mindset, they all come together right here in consistency. Because the truth is, healing your kidneys isn't about a 7-day cleanse or a 30-day challenge. It's about what you do every single day when no one's watching. I've seen people make massive changes overnight only to slide back because it felt too hard, too restrictive, too lonely. But the patients who actually win this battle, they don't sprint, they build rhythm. Take Mr. Alvarez, for example. He was in his early 70s, living alone, and tired of being told what not to eat. So instead of cutting everything at once, we created what I now call the kidney rhythm rotation. Mondays and Thursdays were apple days. He loved crisp slices with peanut butter. Tuesdays and Fridays, he added blueberries into his oatmeal. Wednesdays, a small bowl of red grapes for antioxidants. Weekends, pineapple, fresh, juicy, loaded with bromelain to ease inflammation. These tiny rotations gave him variety, flavor, and results. After 6 months, his creatinine dropped, his energy doubled, and his doctor said, "You're aging backward." Science supports what Mr. Alvarez discovered intuitively: consistency beats intensity. According to a 2024 review from the Journal of Nutrition and Metabolism, people who follow stable, moderate plant-based patterns experience up to a 45% slower progression of kidney disease compared to those who yo-yo between extreme diets. That's because the kidneys love predictability. When your meals stay steady in sodium, protein, and hydration, your filtration system doesn't swing wildly, it thrives in rhythm. So instead of thinking about perfection, think about momentum. Build habits so natural that they become part of your identity water. Before coffee, veggies; before meat, calm; before sleep. The goal isn't to eat like someone else for a week. It's to eat like the healthiest version of you for life. And this is the secret: no medicine can replace healing. Happens in repetition. One meal at a time. One mindful choice at a time. One steady heartbeat after another. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because the most profound transformation isn't in your food or your schedule. It's in what happens when you finally believe your kidneys can get better. And that's the message I want to leave you with next. This is where everything comes full circle: belief. Because no matter how precise your diet is or how perfect your lab numbers become, real healing begins the moment you stop doubting your body's ability to recover. I've seen it too many times to dismiss it. Patients who believed they were doomed to dialysis often lived out that story. But the ones who believed, truly believed, that their kidneys could stabilize, they found ways to make it happen. The body listens to the story the mind repeats. I once had a patient named Denise, a 65-year-old grandmother who came to me with stage 4 kidney disease. Her first words were, "I'm scared I'll never see my granddaughter graduate." That fear broke me. But instead of letting it sink her spirit, she turned it into fuel. She followed every step: plant-based meals, gentle walks, hydration, discipline. But she also did something different. Every morning she'd place her hand over her abdomen and whisper, "Thank you, kidneys, for fighting for me today." It sounded simple, almost silly, yet it was powerful. Over the next year, her kidney numbers stabilized, and she lived to attend that graduation in tears of gratitude. The science behind her transformation is profound. Research from Frontiers in Psychology shows that positive self-talk and mindful gratitude can lower stress hormones, boost immune repair, and even enhance kidney blood flow by improving cardiovascular balance. Healing isn't just biochemical, it's emotional. When your nervous system feels safe, your kidneys stop bracing for survival and start functioning again with trust. And here's something I've learned after 2 decades of treating kidney patients. Healing happens at the intersection of knowledge and kindness. You can't hate your body into getting better, but you can love it into balance. Every time you choose compassion over criticism, water over soda, or rest over worry, you send a message to your kidneys. You're safe now. So if you've been living in fear of your next test result, hear me clearly: you are not broken. Your kidneys are not your enemy. They're trying to protect you even now. All they need is a chance to reset, to breathe, to trust you again. And that, my friend, is where your healing truly begins. But just knowing this still isn't enough, because what happens next in the final moments we'll share today will show you exactly how to turn this hope into action starting tonight. Don't miss it. I want you to pause for a moment and take a deep breath. You've just learned what most people never do, that healing your kidneys isn't about fear or restriction or living in constant anxiety. It's about giving your body the rhythm, nourishment, and compassion it's been asking for all along. Remember, your kidneys are listening to every choice you make, and every small act of care counts. So here's my advice to you. Start small, stay steady, and never underestimate the power of simple habits. Choose whole foods over processed ones. Drink water before you feel thirsty, move your body every day, and give yourself time to rest. Healing doesn't demand perfection, only consistency and kindness. If today's message spoke to you, save this video so you can come back whenever you need a reminder, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss the latest kidney health insights, nutrition guides, and science-backed ways to protect your body naturally. I want this space to be your home for learning, healing, and hope. Because no matter your age, your numbers, or how far your journey has gone, your kidneys still want to fight for you. All they need is a little help and a little faith. I'm Dr. Johnny, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll keep discovering new ways to keep your kidneys strong, your energy high, and your future bright. Stay kind to your body, and it will be kind to you.